My friends, let's start with a fish that often gets overlooked: sardines. They're small, they come in a humble can, and yet they might just be one of the greatest gifts for your body after 60. Why? Because sardines are packed with omega-3s, the kind of fat your brain and heart absolutely love. These little nutrients are like tiny firefighters calming the flames of inflammation that cause stiff joints, clogged arteries, and even memory decline. One patient of mine, Helen 72, once told me, "Doctor, I thought sardines were poor man's food. But ever since I added them to my meals, I feel lighter, my knees hurt less, and I sleep better." And here's something else: sardines are one of the very few foods that naturally give you vitamin D plus calcium from their soft bones. That's right, every bite is like medicine for your bones, protecting you from fractures and keeping you strong enough to climb stairs or hold your grandchild with confidence. Best of all, sardines sit low on the food chain, which means they're clean, virtually free from mercury. So imagine each small sardine as a quiet guardian protecting your heart, brain, and bones all at once. Sometimes the most ordinary foods carry the most extraordinary power. Now let's talk about tuna. For many years, tuna has been seen as the healthy choice, lean, convenient, and always sitting in the pantry. But here's what most people over 60 don't realize: tuna, especially the bigger types like albacore or big eye, carry a hidden danger: mercury. I've had patients who came in with memory lapses, shaky hands, and mood swings. At first, they thought it was just normal aging. But when we looked closer, their diet was filled with tuna sandwiches week after week. And sure enough, their mercury levels were far higher than safe. Mercury doesn't leave your body quickly. It builds up quietly like rust on an old bridge. And for seniors whose detox systems have slowed down, that rust eats away at the brain, the nerves, even the heart. That's why studies show too much tuna can speed up memory loss and heart problems. Does this mean you can never enjoy tuna again? Not exactly. If you do stick with light tuna, usually skipjack and only in very small portions, maybe once a month, think of it as an occasional treat, not an everyday habit, because sometimes the foods that look safe on the outside are quietly stealing strength from the inside. There's another group of foods I often recommend to my patients after 60: small fish, like anchovies and herring, and even shellfish like mussels. You might not think of them as superfoods, but they carry a quiet strength. These little fish live short lives low on the food chain. That means they don't collect mercury the way big fish like tuna or king mackerel do. Instead, they're loaded with clean omega-3s, the kind that soothe inflammation, protect the heart, and sharpen the mind. I remember Mr. James, 69, who started adding herring to his salad twice a week. He later told me, "Doctor, my joints don't ache as much and my energy feels steadier." And mussels, so humble yet rich in protein, B12, and minerals that support strong nerves and resilient blood cells. For many seniors, they're like nature's little multivitamin. But let me be honest, for those with gout, these foods can sometimes be tricky. They're higher in purines, which may trigger flare-ups if you already struggle with uric acid. That's why I tell my patients, listen to your body. Add them in moderation. Notice how you feel and let them be a gentle helper, not a burden. Sometimes the smallest creatures in the ocean bring the biggest gifts to your table. Now I want to talk about tilapia, the fish that looks so harmless, so affordable that many families put it on the table without a second thought. But after 60, tilapia can be one of the worst choices you could make. Here's why. Most farm-raised tilapia are crowded into ponds where they swim in their own waste. To keep them alive, farmers load them with antibiotics and pesticides. And when you eat that fish, those chemicals don't disappear, they end up in your body. I've had patients who thought they were eating healthy with tilapia twice a week, yet their inflammation markers were worse than people eating bacon. Even more troubling, tilapia has one of the most unbalanced fat profiles of any fish, very high in omega-6, almost no omega-3. That imbalance acts like fuel on the fire of arthritis, heart disease, even memory decline. Instead of cooling inflammation, tilapia fans the flames. I want you to picture this. You believe you're feeding your body something light and safe, but in reality, you're feeding the fire that makes your joints ache and your heart weaker. That's why I tell my patients, skip farm tilapia altogether. There are plenty of better, safer, cleaner fish that truly heal instead of harm. When it comes to fish portion and preparation matter just as much as choosing the right kind. I often remind my patients, it's not just what you eat, it's how much and how you cook it. For seniors, about 3 to 5 ounces, roughly 100 to 150 grams, is the sweet spot per serving. And if you can enjoy fish rich in omega-3s like salmon, sardines, or trout twice a week, that's enough to truly make a difference for your heart, brain, and joints. But let me share something I see often. Many people undo the benefits by frying their fish in heavy oil or loading it with salt. One patient, Mrs. Linda, loved her fried catfish. After switching to baking salmon with a drizzle of olive oil and fresh herbs, she noticed her blood pressure settle and her energy lift. Think of it this way. Steaming or baking keeps the nutrients intact, while frying often strips them away and adds burdens your body doesn't need after 60. A squeeze of lemon, a sprinkle of herbs. These simple touches not only protect your health, they also bring out the natural flavor of the fish. At this stage of life, every meal is a message to your body. Let that message say, I want you to heal, not struggle. Now let's talk about a fish that doesn't look flashy on the plate, but quietly does wonders for your health: wild Pacific cod. It may not get the same spotlight as salmon, but for seniors, it's a real treasure. One serving, just about the size of your palm, delivers close to 40 grams of high-quality protein. That's the kind of clean, lean protein your muscles crave after 60, when sarcopenia or muscle loss creeps in faster than most people realize. I remember a patient, Robert, who told me, "Doctor, I thought cod was too plain, nothing special." After a few months of adding it to his weekly meals, his energy and balance noticeably improved. Cod is also rich in selenium and vitamin B12, two nutrients many older adults don't get enough of. Selenium works like an invisible shield, protecting your cells and boosting your immune system, while B12 fuels your nerves and helps keep your memory sharp. And here's the good news: cod lives shorter lives in cleaner waters, which means far less mercury and toxins compared to larger predatory fish. I want you to imagine cod as that humble friend, quiet, dependable, always there when you need strength. Not glamorous, but deeply reliable. If you're looking for a safe, nourishing fish to add to your plate, wild Pacific cod deserves a place at your table. There's one fish I often recommend to my patients, though it doesn't always get the spotlight: rainbow trout. Gentle in taste, easy to digest, and remarkably clean, it's truly one of the best choices for seniors. A single serving gives you about 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s. That's the exact dose your heart and brain need to keep inflammation low and circulation strong. I think of my patient, Margaret, 72, who had struggled with high blood pressure. She switched from fried foods to baking rainbow trout twice a week. Within months, her numbers improved, and she told me, "Doctor, I feel lighter, calmer, like my body is finally breathing easier." But omega-3s aren't the only gift. Rainbow trout is rich in potassium, which naturally balances blood pressure, zinc, which strengthens immunity and healing, and vitamins B3 and B12, which fuel your nerves and memory. For many seniors who feel their energy slipping, these nutrients are like sparks that reignite the system. I want you to picture trout as a gentle stream, clear, steady, and life-giving. Not heavy, not overwhelming, but quietly supporting every cell in your body. If salmon feels too rich or tuna too risky, rainbow trout is that safe, nourishing middle ground. It's the kind of food that whispers to your heart and brain, stay strong, stay steady. When people ask me, "Doctor, if there's just one fish I should eat after 60, what would it be?" my answer is simple: wild Alaskan salmon. Not the farmed kind, but the one that swims free in cold, clean waters. This salmon is packed with omega-3s, the kind that don't just help your heart, but protect your brain. I remember Anna, 69, who told me she often felt her memory slipping. She started eating wild salmon twice a week. Months later, she came back smiling, saying, "I feel clearer, like the fog in my head is lifted." Science backs this up. Omega-3s can literally slow brain aging and keep your memory sharp. And then there's astaxanthin, the pigment that gives salmon its beautiful pink color. It's one of the most powerful antioxidants we know, shielding your eyes, your skin, even your joints from the rust of aging. Add to that selenium, vitamin D, and nearly 40 grams of protein in just one serving. You've got a food that fuels muscles, strengthens bones, and soothes inflammation all at once. I want you to picture salmon not just as a meal, but as medicine, nature's way of saying, "Here I want you to stay strong, to think clearly, to keep walking with confidence." For seniors over 60, wild Alaskan salmon is more than food. It's a gift for your future self. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, one of my patients, James, 66, loved having fried catfish for dinner. "Doctor, it's cheap, tasty, and fills me up," he said. But over time, his joints ached more, his blood pressure worsened, and he felt constantly tired. When we looked deeper, the culprit was right there on his plate: imported catfish. The problem isn't just the fish itself, but how it's raised. In many overseas farms, catfish live in crowded, polluted waters. To keep them alive, farmers load them with antibiotics and chemicals. Those don't disappear, they stay in the flesh and end up in your body. And for seniors whose immune systems are already more fragile, that's like adding fuel to a slow-burning fire. Worse still, imported catfish are often low in nutrition and high in harmful residues. They carry unhealthy fats that stoke inflammation, the very thing we're trying to fight when dealing with arthritis, heart disease, or memory decline. I want you to picture it this way. Eating imported catfish is like bringing home a guest who looks friendly, but leaves behind a mess you can't clean up. If you truly enjoy catfish, choose domestic farm-raised under U.S. standards. It may cost a bit more, but what you're really buying is peace of mind, a body less burdened by hidden toxins, and a chance to age with strength and clarity. Tuna has long been called a healthy fish. Sandwiches, salads, even quick dinners, it shows up everywhere. But after 60, tuna can carry a danger we don't see with our eyes: mercury. I remember Robert, 70, who came to me worried about his memory. Doctor, he said, I feel foggy all the time. I forget names, I lose track of conversations. When we looked at his diet, he was eating canned tuna 3 to 4 times a week. Tests showed his mercury levels were high. The fish he thought was protecting his heart was quietly burdening his brain. Here's the truth. Big tuna like albacore or big eye live long lives and gather mercury year after year, and our bodies, especially after 60, can't clear toxins the way they used to. That mercury doesn't just pass through, it stays building up in the brain, the heart, even the nerves. The symptoms: tremors, confusion, mood swings, can look like normal aging, but they're not. I want you to picture mercury like drops of poison slowly dripping into an old water pipe. At first, nothing seems wrong, but over time, the pipe weakens, leaks, and breaks. That's what mercury does to the body. So if tuna is on your plate, choose light canned tuna, and only once in a while. Better yet, reach for salmon, sardines, or trout fish that feed your brain and heart without the hidden weight of toxins. At our age, the food we choose today decides the clarity of our mind tomorrow. There's a fish that looks harmless on the menu, but for people over 60, it can be one of the most dangerous choices you'll ever make: king mackerel. I still remember Susan, 69, who came to see me because she felt her memory slipping and her hands trembling more than before. She was shocked when we discovered her diet included king mackerel twice a month. The problem wasn't age, it was mercury. King mackerel carries some of the highest mercury levels of any fish. And here's the danger: mercury doesn't just pass through your body. It stays collecting in your brain and nerves, slowly damaging memory, balance, and even mood. Many patients mistake the symptoms: forgetfulness, tremors, fatigue, as just getting older. But in truth, it's mercury quietly stealing their independence. The FDA and EPA are crystal clear: seniors, children, and pregnant women should completely avoid king mackerel, no exceptions. I want you to imagine your body like a bridge that has carried you through storms for decades. Each serving of king mackerel is like piling on heavy bricks coated in poison. At first, the bridge stands, but one day it cracks. So if you enjoy mackerel, choose Atlantic or Spanish varieties, safe, lighter, and nourishing. But when it comes to king mackerel, the best choice is simple: never put it on your plate. So my friends, the truth is simple. Not all fish are created equal. Some, like tilapia from crowded farms or mercury-heavy king mackerel, can quietly harm your heart, your memory, even your independence. Others, like wild salmon, sardines, cod, or rainbow trout, are nature's medicine, feeding your brain, protecting your heart, and keeping your steps steady. At our age, every meal is more than just food. It's a choice, a message we send to our body. I want you strong, I want you clear, I want you here for many more years. I often tell my patients, don't try to change everything overnight. Start small. Swap one harmful fish for one healing one. Add just 2 servings of the right fish each week. Over time, those little choices build into a future where you feel lighter, stronger, and more alive than you imagined. So tonight, when you sit down at the table, pause for a moment. Look at what's on your plate and ask yourself, is this helping me age with strength or pushing me closer to weakness? If this message speaks to you, I invite you to subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together week after week, like old friends, sharing stories and wisdom and keeping our hearts and bodies full of life.